So we've had a few days with the first patch BSG has provided on their proposed roadmap. So let's take a look at what we got, what we didn't get, and my first take on the changes. For the roadmap, here's what they have listed for us. Fixes for visual problems with flashlights, rework sky location, Oculus audio tweaks to Interchange and Lighthouse, changes in the headset system, changes in the AI voice lines, fixes incorrect sound and volume of gunshots and explosions at short distances, and then fixes for incorrect movement of bots in the prone position. So for the most part, we got everything on this list, a few extra things, except for the rework of sky locations. We didn't get that. I asked BSG about it. They said that this is something that they're still working on. It did make the patch, so it's pushed to a later patch. We don't know which one. So let's get the good out of the way first. The big one here being the flashlights, number 2 on the patch notes, which I'll put the link down to this down in the description if you haven't seen them yet. Flashlight bugs have been fixed for the most part. I'll get into that in a second. But the old bug we had where I did a whole video on it explaining it, and go check that out. The bug where flashlights were always on, essentially, even when they were off, just not quite as bright. That has been fixed. So is a bug that's been around for years now where flashlights shine through walls and floors and, cars and obstructions and everything. The lights just shine through everything. BSG's been fighting that for such a long time, and it looks like they finally fixed it. Now, there still is an issue where it looks like lights can leak through the floors and the ceilings wherever kind of windows are at, or door frames. Something weird with how they have the layers or something put together. BSG's aware of it. They're working on it. But with the exception of that, all of the other lighting stuff has been fixed. And we've seen it. We saw some running around. Lights look great. The way shadows move as you move around, it looks really good. And it's something I've been looking forward to for quite a while. Not just the bug fix, but them getting the shine through walls and stuff addressed. So it's a really good change. Now, I know there's some folks out there saying that the always on bug isn't fixed, and hear me out here. It is. There's a new bug, it looks like. One that I haven't been able to duplicate yet, despite my best efforts. That doesn't mean the bug isn't there. It just means it's something different. The one that I tested, the one that we figured out before, is fixed. This new one, near as I can tell from watching a couple other streamers, I saw Pestily did a pretty good example of it. It looks more to me like some kind of server desync issue than an engine issue, if you will, like the old bug was. Now, it needs more testing. I haven't seen it yet, like I said. Not only have I not been able to duplicate it, I haven't seen it. So gonna keep an eye out for it, gonna watch for it closely. I ask that you do the same, and if you guys can get anything consistent where you're seeing it and hey, this is what's causing it, so we can do more testing, not only get it figured out, so hopefully we can prevent it, show people how to get around it so their lights aren't on when they don't think they are for other people, but maybe we can get some info over to BSG so that they can get it patched quicker as well. But as far as flashlights are concerned, for me, they're fixed enough that I'm going to run them again. I haven't been running them since the last patch with the other stuff. It just gave away your position, but that does not appear to be the case now. So that's good. It's up to you. If you feel like they're still broken and to the point you want to use them, keep using lasers. That's up to you. Me, however, I'm going to be using flashlights now. Now, some other good changes. Interchange's audio. It's not perfect. And it's going to take some time to figure it out because right now it's so new. I don't really know what I'm hearing. Not because it's broken. It's just not familiar to me. So we'll play some Interchange, even though it's not my favorite map. We'll try to get figured out what's going on with the audio, where some of the weird areas are at. I'm sure people are already finding them and talking about them. But overall, the audio is much better on Interchange. Playing around, shots outside sounded like they were inside. Shots in the basement sounded like they were in the basement. You didn't hear people from 2 floors apart, and the way audio carried through like holes in the floor, like in the middle of the mall and stuff, seemed to be pretty good. But I do expect there to be bugs with occlusion zones and dead spots, or you're hearing people further away, not just related to the headset issue, which we'll get into also a little bit later. Things like that are going to happen. They've happened with every map they've done this with so far, so it's just going to be a work in progress that we continue to get through. Now, in addition to Interchange, we got Lighthouse as well. Lighthouse had its audio, its sound positioning done, configured sound system for Lighthouse. Now, Lighthouse has always had really crappy audio, especially around the chalet and stuff like that, and inside the buildings. I haven't had a lot of time there yet to really feel it out and see what's changed, see if it's better or worse, anything like that. So it's just going to need more time there as well to get through the weird, kind of the different area, because most Lighthouse is open, right? So the sound doesn't have all these weird things that can happen, but the buildings that it does have, it's always been really off. You know, just the audio has just never been quite right. Now, in addition to this, there was tons of other tweaks, fixes like to reserve and labs, which I haven't felt out all the way yet. As far as fixing voice lines, just lots of other audio fixes in here. I'm not going to get into a ton of details because some of it's just little bugs. You know, things like they balanced the M18 smoke grenade, which it does sound quieter. It's not quite as obnoxious, but I can't tell if that's just the headset change or this. It's too hard for me to tell. And then the contusion effect is one that I noticed a lot of people brought up. The concussion effect, sorry, that like when you use golden star bombs and stuff like that, a lot of people are saying it's terrible now. Like they have to mute their game whenever they just stopped using golden stars because it's actually painful for them. I haven't noticed anything yet, but that can be chalked up to just how our ears hear things different and people are sensitive to different sounds. So if you are noticing that, I would say put a bug report into BSG to let them know that, hey, this is awful or whatever, if that's how you feel. If you're like me and it's the same, I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and went on. And then the last thing, I guess on the good side, it's kind of indifferent, is they changed the experience you get from people on your team. Killing and looting players, the same group, doesn't give you XP, and the dog tags are only going to give 1 ruble to the traders, and it will not be considered found in raid, so you can't use them for barters. So that's barters or tasks. So people that are boosting doing this, I guess, I never thought much about it. But yeah, apparently it was enough that BSG decided they wanted to take that away. So keep that in mind. Your buddy's dog tags are not worth much anymore when you find them. But let's get on to the bad, the big one, the one that everybody's talking about. And that has to do with in this line of improved active headset system. Okay, where do we start here? Right now, Tarkov's overall audio is a work in progress. And that might be the glass half full, the nice way of saying it. A lot of folks would refer to it as a clusterfuck, a tire fire, you know, any other things, just a wreck, because it has problems. So now we've added to this complex system of audio that isn't working right yet all the way, another variable with these headsets and what they've done with them now. One of the very few things that has stayed consistent over the years is the headsets and their audio profiles and how they sound in the game, which means you can consistently say, okay, I know the audio is broken here because it's not the headset, it's just this changed. I can't do that now. I have no idea what's going on in certain places. Is it because Interchange audio is broken? Is it because I'm wearing the wrong headset? Is it because of a combination of both of them? I honestly don't know. Now, they did lower the volume of these. They talk about amplifying high frequencies for more realistic sound, which is true. They do sound super realistic, which is kind of cool, I guess, but it doesn't outweigh some of the other problems we're seeing with some of the bugs with how far you're hearing people away. So I've seen clips of people being heard over 100 meters, which is just insane.
I can hear you walking at 240 meters on gravel with Comtac 4s at 70 kilograms.
Okay, so what happens? Okay, well,
but I can't hear you sprint.
And as far as like, I couldn't beforehand, I couldn't wear GSSHs or M32s unless I had to. I hated the sound. It was painful on some surfaces for me, and wearing them now, they're not bad. But again, that doesn't matter with the current issues. Now, I haven't done any major testing yet. I've watched lots of it from other streamers, and I've seen such a varying, people are all over the place on what they're finding. It's not because they're doing bad testing, because there's so many other problems. So for me right now, it just doesn't make sense for me to dive in and say, okay, this headset works at this distance, because I've watched 2 different streamers do the same test on different maps or different areas, and they get completely different results. So it's just not worth the effort right now, because I think a lot of these things are going to be bugs. So something that might make the headset the best headset today, if BSG patches it next week or sometime down the road, that's no longer the best headset because it has some kind of unintended mechanic going on. You know, I can't imagine it's intended that people are heavier or quieter than people that are lighter at further distances, which I saw, I think it was Landmark. I saw him do testing, and there was a guy at 90 meters that was quieter than a guy at 60 meters. And the guy at 90 was heavy and the guy at 60 was light, and it just, or vice versa, something weird. It just didn't make sense, because heavy and light on distances and hearing people further is just, so many things are screwed up right now. It doesn't sound to me like this is intended mechanics. So for what I'm going to tell everybody that's asking me about it, my best advice is just find a headset that sounds good to you. Don't get wrapped up in this headset can hear further than this one, because that might change. And there's a lot of other variables that are going to play into that. I mean, obviously, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, the Comtac 4s are the best. They hear further. The sound profiles are the clearest, all of that kind of stuff. But they can push like 150, 200K on the flea market. That's pretty hefty. If you got lots of money, fine, run those. But if you don't want to be spending more on your headset than you do your gun or the ammo or your other gear. Now, once we get a couple of these fixes in and things kind of level out and seem like they're a little bit more normal, we'll do some more testing. We'll get some really good scientific kind of style testing in to determine, what's the best headset for specific purposes. Because it sounds like from reading the notes, this is the way that BSG is trying to go with this. If you want to hear footsteps further away, you go with this. If you want to hear gunshots, if you want to muffle certain sounds, use these different headsets, and that's trade-offs. Sounds like the direction they're trying to go. They're not there yet. Now, the last thing we got this morning was some balancing adjustments, and there's a ton of them. They've got everything from equipment selling prices have been changed quite a bit as far as what gear sells for. And for the most part, it's like a 20-25% change, but you have a few that got cheaper, like this MK1 chest rig went from 24 to 18, so it got cheaper. And there was a few of them, and I can't find them right now, but there's some of them that almost doubled. The shattered lightweight armor mask went from 15K to 20K. That's not doubled, but I've seen some big ones in here. So keep that in mind that for the most part, a lot of gear became worth more to sell to the vendors. So stuff that you've kind of haven't been really selling, keep an eye on it, because it might now be worth taking out of raid just because it's worth that much more to sell. Now, in addition to this, we also got a bunch of other stuff adjusted as far as how much it costs to repair, the repair cost balancing. And for the most part, things got cheaper. There's a few that got a little bit more expensive, like the Paca got more expensive, but it's almost not meaningful from looking at it. But the vast majority of things were made cheaper to repair on cost. So things, just your armor and stuff, it's going to be cheaper to repair. The list's huge. I'm not going to go through it item by item. Now, on top of that, we also got melee weapon damage rebalancing, which is basically just a buff across the board. Every melee weapon, as near as I can tell, and maybe I missed one in here, they all got buffed to a higher damage point, to the point where a lot of weapons before that didn't one hit in the head, definitely one hit now. This includes Tagilla's hammer, which is this one right here. Tagilla's hammer got buffed, which means he's going to hit harder. Now, there's been a few instances where he's hit me 3 times. It's taken him 3 hits to kill me, but it's almost always 2, and it's 1, obviously, if he hits you in the head most of the time, I think. So Tagilla's going to hit harder, so keep that in mind. Now, I know we're a little bit late on the video today. We're going to be getting it out to you after Memorial Day, but that's it. It was Memorial Day weekend. I had a bunch of stuff planned with the family. My anniversary with the wife, 14 years, is actually this weekend, and Memorial Day. Being a vet and having some friends that I've lost over the years has a little bit different. It's a little bit more sacred to me, I guess you could say. It's important. And Tarkov kind of takes a back seat to that stuff. So waited till the end of the weekend to get the video done. I appreciate you guys for understanding that. But we'll keep going with videos just like we do like this, and next weekend should be just fine. Now, for those of you that are, I get asked about this, that are looking for other ways to support the content, don't forget about my music. It's free. You can listen to it. It helps me out. It supports the channel. We generate ad revenue over there. Links down below. Again, it's free, and even for content creators, they can use it in their own videos. The music, you won't be DMCA copyright striked. You won't be any of that kind of nonsense you get from the record labels. That's what we made it for. It's my music. I'm letting you guys use it. All we ask is you just attribute us in your description and stuff, so people know where the music's coming from. On top of that, I also have a Patreon. We do crafting guides over there all the time, have our own discussions. There's a whole Discord group that's just the Patreons that we talk. I obviously pay a little bit more attention to there because the folks are supporting more. So if you're interested in that, if you want to support me, by all means, go check it out. But it doesn't affect this. We do all the same content over here anyways on the YouTube for free. So it's more of just a place for folks that want to help out in their own way. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hope you guys had a good weekend. If you were in the United States, you had a good, long, nice Memorial Day weekend. Thank you guys again for being around and just supporting the content. I wish you the best of luck in your raids, and hopefully we'll hear you in Tarkov, but that might be a question right now.